You ever have an idea that sounds so wrong it actually might be genius? Like, I don't know, putting roses in a coffin? Yeah, that's how I ended up selling the Nightmare Before Christmas collaboration to Disney. But before it became one of our most viral products ever, it almost didn't happen. Let me walk you through this one idea that flipped the entire floral industry and what it taught me about creating products that people feel. This episode is part 2 of a series of how I sold Disney my products, so if you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you check that one out first and to see how I built my relationship with Disney. Not just how I pitched them, but how I sold the idea to benefit both brands. So the floral industry has always looked the same in general. Soft colors, love cliches, Valentine's Day, nothing new basically. And the key for me and my brand was to be different from everyone else. Something darker but real. Because in all honesty, love isn't always pretty. It's messy, it's dramatic, obsessive, and flowers should feel like that too. So one day I was at my box manufacturer coming up with new ideas and concepts. And on someone's desk, I could see a Halloween shaped box they made for a candy company, and it was shaped like a coffin. And instantly I thought, can we put roses in that? It would obviously need to be larger, but just the fact that it was a coffin and roses would be in it was completely different from how the floral industry was sending flowers. It was literally everything the floral industry wasn't. Unexpected, rebellious, maybe even offensive, and it was exactly what I was looking for. So we built the first prototype. Mind you, I didn't get any feedback for this. We just designed and launched it. We designed it to look like a stone coffin on the exterior with details of bones and different things like that. And when you opened it, it was purple on the inside with yellow roses, red roses, trying to fit all the drama of Halloween on this design. And when we launched it, people went crazy, and not in the best way either. Half the comments were, what the hell is this? Is that for a funeral? No one's gonna ever buy that. But the other half were obsessed. And through that noise, that's when I realized something so important. Controversy is a spotlight. Even though the noise was louder than the actual sales, that meant something was there still. And that's the first lesson of this experience. When people are split down the middle, you're onto something. Because in all reality, boring ideas don't offend anyone. So about a year later, we had just started our relationship with Disney. And the initial boxes we launched with them were kind of safe and expected. It was during the Christmas season, and one of the boxes was inspired by the movie Frozen, and the other was just a general Disney-themed box. The results from that could have been better. I mean, they sold, but no one really cared. There wasn't a lot of noise and conversation behind that launch. And that's what I was looking for with this relationship. We're working with Disney here. And there was a question I was asking myself that wasn't answered until after those 2 launches. Why are we trying to fit into Disney's world when we can bring them into ours? At the end of the day, they liked our brand and what we were doing. That's when the Nightmare Before Christmas clicked immediately. It's dark, it's emotional, it's about love and death and devotion, everything we stood for. So I set up a meeting and I literally pitched the idea straight up. Hey guys, we have a coffin designed already. What if we took the Nightmare Before Christmas and applied that design to our coffin? And they loved it. And just like that, we were designing Jack Skellington on the front of the coffin. We still utilized that idea of the stone coffin, but we put Jack Skellington on the top of it, kind of like his resting place. Except it still needed to fit what roses were all about. So when you opened the box, you would see Jack and Sally together along with our roses. It was gothic and romantic. Love literally to the grave. We started teasing the launch on social media, specifically Instagram and Facebook, and it went psycho. Everyone was sharing and talking about this dark meets Disney crossover. And that's the second lesson I learned from this experience. Your product doesn't just sell because it's good. It sells because it represents someone's identity. We weren't just selling roses anymore. We were selling a statement. This is who I am. But I'm going to be fully transparent. Working with Disney as a small company is no small feat. When everything worked out, it was amazing. But it's not just as easy as putting designs and sending it out there. Everything had to go through approvals, design reviews, and compliance. Because at the end of the day, we're using their assets, their designs. And the last thing we want to do is misrepresent their brand. After all, it's a mutual collaboration. It needs to work for the both of us. So you couldn't just send them a mock-up and get a thumbs up. You'd send a file, wait 2 weeks, get notes, get feedback, revise, resubmit, and then possibly do it again 2-3 times. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking because they'll take in consideration when you want to launch the product, but if it doesn't fit their criteria fully, expect delays and possibly pushback. And there were moments I thought we're not going to make this launch, so I had to come up with backup ideas just in case we needed to pivot to a Christmas release, because The Nightmare Before Christmas kind of fits both seasons. So even though that necessarily wasn't going to be the plan, the reality of it is it could have well happened. To be clear, Disney is not a problem. In fact, they were more organized than us, but we had to fit into their structure to make this work. You see, these big companies have large structures and protocols that they're going to follow regardless of your idea. So if something had to change, we had to change it. And whatever time that took, that would be on us. And whatever amount of extra money that cost, that was on us as well. And that taught me the third lesson about working with a corporate giant like Disney. Our job was to stay obsessed while they stayed cautious. Because patience isn't optional when working with these larger companies. It's strategy. They want to do it right no matter what. From hiring designers to their brand guidelines to every detail they ask for. But the end result was well worth it. Because that product didn't just go viral. It stayed viral for 7 years straight. What started out as a Halloween stunt became a year-round bestseller for us. Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, you name it. So in building this one design, this is what this entire experience taught me. A weird idea that makes you nervous is usually the one you should go through with. You'll never out Disney, so bring your ideas to them, not the other way around. You want to make noise? You need to be different. After all, they're working with you because of what you sell. So make the two brands fit. These big brands want confidence more than perfection because they can feel when you actually believe in your idea. We didn't design the Coffin for them. That was a product already we created. But sharing this idea to combine the two is what made them love it. But it needs to make sense. And of course, never forget, design means nothing without execution. This idea wouldn't have happened if I just drew it down and never did anything with it. Or if I took that drawing and tried sharing it with people and getting their feedback. That's not to say feedback isn't important, but sometimes it can sway you from what you really believe will work. And you have to go off of your confidence and belief if you're the one creating the product. You know, most people are going to think getting a brand like Disney means you've made it. But the truth of it is, you're just playing on a bigger field with higher stakes and faster losses. And if you don't understand your audience before walking in, you'll create a beautiful design that no one ever buys. So if you're building a product, stop chasing those safe ideas. Build the thing that people don't expect because that's what they remember. And so will your pitch to these companies that you want to work with. Roses in a coffin? The best idea I ever had.